What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uber Cooled Garage. On this week's episode, we're gonna continue with the bug. As you can see, it's completely torn apart at the moment. But we'll get to that in this video, and we'll also be doing a little bit of work on the Ghia. There is still progress going on the Ghia. Currently, during the day, I am doing the cut and buff on it, so getting it all polished up and good to go. They're still waiting on the parts for the rear seat, but if I'm done polishing it this week, I'm going to call Zach and tell him that he can come get his car because it is completely done other than the rear seat. So I'm gonna try really hard to get that car done this week. I have a very, very light work week, so it'll be nice to get that done and out of the way. I am also when this video comes out today, going to look at another project. I'm gonna go test fit the empty motor right here into a double cab bus, which will be really cool. So that potentially could be a future project. I'm crossing my fingers that it is, that everything will work out. So look forward to that. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and we'll see you at the end. So I went to Ace today and picked up all my bolts. So I got 2 bolts down here in it for now. There are going to be 2 more. I'm actually going to weld this U-joint to this shaft. That way it's on there permanently. I also swapped out the jam nuts on these for stainless nylocks on both of them. That way they won't come loose. Went ahead and drilled a hole for this one here. It goes all the way through. You can see my bearing is right here. So the bearing's right there. You can see that I drilled a hole here. So I'm going to put another locking tab in there, or locking bolt in there with another stainless to hold that in. And as you can see, steering column's in here. Everything down here works super nice. It is really smooth. So really smooth. I have one little spot right there that it locks up, so I gotta look at what's actually binding right there. But that's center of steering wheel, so it might just be something in the boots or something like that. So it actually works out really, really nice. So there's steering. I also have gone ahead and made my tabs for down here. This is a 3/16 steel. If you guys didn't know, I basically hand cut and make 90% of my tabs. Just because I can order some, but they're almost never the right size that I need. So I end up just making my own. I went and picked up a flat plate of 16-inch or 3/16 inch steel. So made my tabs here. I got 3 more to make for the passenger side. But other than that, I can get those tacked in, set up my top A-arms, and then start fabricating for the coilover mount. And then basically the front suspension's done. So the everything works super good so far. Of course, I'll actuate the steering, make sure none of that stuff changes as I move it up and down. But so far so good. Let's keep jamming. Got some more packages in the mail for the bug today. Got a Walbro fuel pump. This is just a 320 for now. I'll upgrade this later. I just want to get the car running and driving. So just standard fuel pump. Has AN, 8 AN lines on both sides, which is pretty cool. I also have power cord, the grounding cable. I stole the timing belt cover for Zach's car, so went ahead and ordered myself another one. This is another temporary thing. I'm going to order the IAG timing belt holder. That way I don't have to worry about it as much. I got some hose clamps for the fuel lines. I think these are the fuel line ones. They might be for the brake lines, but I ordered brake line and fuel line clamps. So I think one of them's still on the way. Also ordered silicone hoses for the cooling system. So I got 345s and a bunch of straights. I actually didn't know that Tycon made silicone clamps, which is pretty cool. So usually they're known for their titanium parts that they make, but I got a couple of those, and I got some T-bolt clamps. If these don't work with the cooling system, I'll just run regular clamps, but these were cheap, and I figure I might as well give it a shot. They look a lot better than worm gear clamps. Also got 2 brake tees. I actually have 2 more here. This one here has the brake light switch in it. I'm going to use this in the clutch line. That way it'll give me a signal when the clutch is engaged to the computer, and then the other one will be for the brake lights. I do have another switch and another T with that on it already, so that will situate the clutch line. Brake lines are basically done. All I have to do is route a couple more, and then the clutch line will be done. This is all the stuff for the rest of the cooling system. Also went ahead and ordered myself a brand new alternator. And then if you come over here to the car, I got a billet black radiator cap, which is awesome. Also went ahead and picked up a 16-inch fan. So 16-inch fan. This one might be temporary. I'm not 100% sure yet. It moves a ton of air. The box that it came in was damaged, so I went ahead and plugged the fan in just to make sure it worked. It works perfectly fine. Already went ahead and cut the shroud and put some nutserts in it. And also, if you can see down here, I got the weather pack connector on here already. Everything's all shrink wrapped down and nice and tight and good, which is perfect. And then one more thing, got a shift knob. So it's just a fake carbon fiber one. I'm actually going to drill the top of it and put a button on the top. Not 100% sure on what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm either going to use it for launch control or either launch control or the line lock that I'm putting on the car. So we'll figure that out once I get into the wiring and stuff. But other than that, I have a couple more boxes on the way. Fuel filters and the fuel filter clamps and a clamp for the fuel pump. A couple other little odds and ends, but basically just made a small order on all the small stuff. So, a couple more things coming. I'm almost done buying parts to get this car going. So, I basically have almost everything to get the car going. Minus tires, axles, and rear brakes. I think that's just about the last couple things. Oh, and shift cables. I need shift cables. So the shift cables will run down through underneath the motor and trans, and then bolt up over here. As you can see, the intercooler's in there. That's another temporary thing just to get the car going. I'm probably going to swap out to a water-to-air intercooler setup if I have room up front. So we'll start buttoning things up on this thing and try and get it on the road before springtime. Okay, guys, so as you notice, I have everything apart. The last thing you guys saw was me tacking these bars here on each side. After looking at all the dimensions and everything, it's just off just a little bit, only by like a degree, maybe 2. My OCD won't let me do that. So figured out that the chassis cart is under too much tension and it's starting to wave. So that's kind of throwing things off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the body off of the chassis, and then I'm going to put the chassis on. I made some chassis dollies, I guess you would call them. So it's a angle iron piece, and then a leg with a wheel on the bottom, and then I'll do a cross brace across that. And they're adjustable, so I'll be able to raise up a corner if it's too low, or lower one down if it's too high. So it's kind of weird seeing this side of the body. I haven't seen this side in quite a while. So with the body off, I can get to the rest of the bodywork on the inside, finish off the chassis. 90% of the tabs and everything that I need to weld on don't need the body, which I have to fix a couple things on the body before I can actually mount it on the car anyway. So I would like to get the chassis a little bit further along, get the body ready to go onto the chassis, and then I can add the tabs for the body to actually bolt to the chassis. Like back here, I'm going to have probably 2 bolts with a tab that goes into the chassis here that holds the body on. Same on the other side. And then I'm also going to bolt the original heater channels together, get all of that stuff situated. There's also going to be a plate that runs this whole section here to block everything off, so that'll be a firewall kind of. And then of course I have my dimple die gussets here on both sides and the front on both sides, and I will probably bolt tab in down here on both sides as well. And then I think the body won't move anywhere. So I want to get everything finished on the body, and then the chassis, and then the body, and then get the body mounted. So we're going to pull the shell off. One thing that I do have to do is, since I added these top bars, you can see that goes through the dash, so that's not going to work. So I got to jack up the actual body and cut slices out of the underside of the dash, and then I'll make that a removable plate. Just in case I ever want to take the body back off, I can just unbolt that plate, and then the whole body will come off along with all the other bolts and everything. So we will pull this body off real quick and get those cut, and then we'll start getting rid of the chassis table and leveling everything out. Okay, so the motor was a struggle, but it's out. As you guys could probably tell, it wouldn't fit between these two rear down bars. So that is why this section of the chassis is going to be removable. Same with this section here. I'll show you guys that when it comes. But both of these sections are going to come out. They'll come out with the motor. I have a transmission jack that I'm going to modify to bolt to this bar and this bar. That way I can come in, cradle the whole setup, and drop that out of the car, so it'll drop the transmission and the motor. After unbolting just a few things, I'm going to have a wire disconnect somewhere along this area here, and then fuel lines and clutch line, and I think that's it. I don't think there's very much after that. I mean, sure, there's a little bit of other things like the throttle cable, small stuff like that, but the motor is out. I can go ahead and clean that whole thing up, get it ready to roll. The chassis is going to come off of the wood chassis table, and I'll put it on I made chassis carts, kind of. So it's just a leg with a piece in there like I explained earlier. So we'll get that in there. And that way I can level out the chassis, make sure that everything is good. The reason I'm doing this is the wood started sagging, and this side is a hair bit off from this side. So when you're looking at these bars right here, you can see that one sits up higher than this one does. Same thing with this one sits up higher than this one. So this section of bar here, one of the tack welds, I'm not 100% which one, but one of these along this line here broke loose, and that allowed the whole thing to sag a little bit. So I need to figure out which one sagged. I'll get the whole thing leveled out again, make sure everything's nice and good. I do have one more bar that goes from here over to here to support this pressure here, and that'll also help with coilovers, because the coilovers are going to come up right in this area here. So that'll help with stiffness for the coilovers. Now that I have a lot of it finalized, I can, right where I want it, I can go ahead and fully weld out a lot of this cage and start doing all the tabs and stuff. There isn't anything really that's going to interfere with the body at the moment. So let's get this thing off the cart and get it set up to start jamming along. Okay guys, as you can see, I got it on a vacuum pump. My buddy Zach was nice enough to weld these up for me, so they aren't gonna leak. It is pulling pretty decent vacuum, so I'll let this pump run for a minute and then shut the valve and let it sit for a little while and see if that gauge moves at all. If it does, then I'll have to figure out where it's leaking from. So fingers crossed it doesn't move at all, and then we'll pump it full of refrigerant and plug in the actual compressor and fire it up and see how it goes. So it's been about an hour and the gauges hasn't moved at all. It's still sucked down to 30 or below 0, and then it's below 0 on the other one. So it looks like we don't have any leaks, which is awesome. So I will fill it up with refrigerant and plug it in and see how cold this AC system can get. Sorry it's dark, guys, but I got the car running. The reason being is I'm charging up the air conditioning system. Air conditioning system is filled up. The compressor is running. Don't mind the wiring on top. I'm gonna put a new connector on it. The one that was on it was broken. So I'm gonna do that. And everything on the inside is running good. Sorry guys, phone cut out. So everything's working, everything's blowing in here. It hasn't quite gotten cold yet, but the condenser's warm and it's pulling air through it. It feels like it's getting cold. So I'll just keep checking on it and see how it turns out. I'll let you guys know. Alright guys, so that's all I have for you this week. I am currently making progress on the Bug, doing a lot of little things on the chassis, getting it ready, starting to fully weld pieces into it. And then once I get a lot of that stuff situated, I can get the body back mounted on there, get all the mounting points and everything for that. And then we'll pull the body back off and sand down the whole cage and floor pan and all that, and paint it up and start putting it together. So looks like it's far from being done, but it's now's the time where it's really gonna start flowing. Everything's gonna start coming together. I'm not sure if I will do another Ghia video. We'll see how everything turns out. I might do one last farewell video, the same thing that I kind of did with my Ghia, where it's kind of a time-lapse and photos and all kinds of stuff like that, all mixed into one video with its final drive away. So I'll probably end up doing that. And then we'll get on to some other projects along with the Bug. And until the next time, we will see you guys later. Peace out, guys.